General Mayhem is back to glory!
With 440 power! Hit it, Freiburger!
This is part 2 of General Mayhem reassembly. It runs, but it needs everything else. We have a lot to do, Steve Dulcich.
We've got a running motor. We're practically home free, right?
It always feels that way, but no, especially since I've got junk I want to do to this that I don't normally do to a Roadkill Garage car because I'm trying to keep it from blowing up.
For instance?
AccuSump, power steering cooler, heavy-duty transmission cooler. We have to, like, fabricate seat brackets. It's a lot. So
that sounds good.
We need to go open 1,000,000 boxes.
All right, so like Christmas comes early.
I'm going to assume that you know our 1968 Dodge Charger known as the General Mayhem, but I guess I'll give you the quick laser version anyway. On Roadkill, we put a motorhome 440 in it. We took it to Dirtfish. We ended up putting a Hellcat in it. We ended up taking the Hellcat back out, and you saw Steve Dulcich and I putting a rebuilt motorhome 440 back in the car. So that's where we're at right now. We still have a ton of work to do. We're going to start at the nose and move all the way to the tail, because in this episode, we've got to make this car run and drive, because it's going to another episode of Roadkill where we're gonna do a shootout with Mike Finnegan's 1968 Dodge Charger. So I gotta work on getting Dulcich all hyped up on this. I gotta have the competitive edge, because the General Mayhem has got to, like, probably not win, but at least be there. So we got a lot of wrenching to do. We're gonna start at the nose and work our way back. I got all the parts organized while Steve was apparently taking a break. Now we're gonna start working up here at the nose of the car. And this first thing is such a huge sigh of relief for me and any General Mayhem fan. Remember when the Hellcat was in here, it had those projector beam lights in it, and it just wrecked the look of the car from the front. It wasn't that signature General Mayhem that came from the 2 off-road lights hanging down right there, shining through my homemade grill. As you may know, the 68 Charger originally had 4 round headlights, and for some reason, just putting 2 large diameter lights in it just gave this car its look. It's awesome. And of course, with the homemade grill. So that's the first thing that's gonna happen. This car is gonna have an unusual level of, like, heavy dutiness by Roadkill standards, because, man, I meant this thing to be driven. It's gonna be beaten on. And so I've got things like a big ol' Hankin transmission cooler with electric fans that is gonna end up mounted something like that. And I'm even going to have a power steering cooler, a little guy that's gonna end up on that side of the car. And then there's the biggie, the AccuSump, which is gonna end up right there. So we'll tell you a little bit more about that once we get it mounted, and I'll show you how it works, but it's gonna save this thing from rod knocking like the Disgusting did. At least that's my plan. We've got all figured out how we're gonna mount this thing up in front of the car, and we're about to paint it black to sort of hide it so you can't see it through the grill. So I thought it would be a good time to explain to you what this is all about. This is called an oil accumulator. This one happens to be from Canton. It's called an AccuSump. The short version of what it does is it sees an oil pressure drop in your engine, and it goes and squirts oil into your engine to prevent that oil pressure drop. So here's how it works. It's a hollow tube with a precision bore. It has a floating piston in it. On this side, you load it with air pressure. On this side, the engine, when it's running, will pump oil into it up to the maximum oil pressure that your engine will deliver, say 60 pounds. And then this pressure sensor right here will detect if the pressure falls below the setting of this valve. When it does, the valve opens and the oil that's in this thing pumps out of this and into the engine to prevent you from having one of those low oil pressure moments. So remember the episode of Roadkill where I was doing donuts at Hoonigan in the Disgusting and it ended up having a rod knock? That was probably because the oil swung away from the pickup for the oil pump and the oil pressure dropped, and then I rashed a bearing and it ended up having a problem. This theoretically prevents that from happening. And because I want to drive this thing hard over all sorts of corners and donuts and things like that, I thought this would be a good safety measure. The plumbing on this thing is really easy. I've got this adapter right here that is going to bolt on to the pad where the oil filter goes, and then the oil filter will spin on to the other side, and then it's just got one hose that comes out of there and into here, and that's it. Feeds oil pressure in, or it feeds oil pressure out. All right, I'm gonna give this to Dulcich, and we're gonna paint that pretty blue into some satin black so you don't see this through the grill of the General Mayhem. I'm gonna be super picky about making this car exactly how it used to be, and I got these new KC driving lights, and they don't have a long stem on them, and so they're too high. I found this old photo of the car at Dirtfish Rally School. Look how large the bulbs are, and they're perfectly centered up and down in the grill. So I gotta fix it, because these aren't right. And that is, look at that, true love.
Usually when it comes to all the linkages and stuff, I like using the original parts and cut it and grind it, weld it, reclock it, rework it, and just make it happen. But not this time. What I'm gonna do is what most of you guys are gonna do, and that's go to the aftermarket for parts. I've got an aftermarket throttle cable, I've got the kickdown linkage and all that stuff. And I'm gonna put this jigsaw puzzle together in the car, and hopefully it'll work perfectly.
Here's what I'm working on. I've got this power steering cooler and also a trans cooler, and it's gonna be really expedient just to put them right on the grill like this instead of fabricating some brackets and stuff. But I'm really concerned that if they're up against the grill, it's gonna look bad from a distance. You'll be able to see something's blocking the grill. So I'm gonna stand them off like this with some spacers like that. Let me show you how I'm making these. It's kind of cool. We got these little pieces of pipe from the hardware store, so first I'm cutting the threads off the end. Dulcich made this tool for cutting push rods, and he needed to make it so that the cut would be perfectly square, so he fabricated this whole thing and then mounted this tiny little saw on there, and it's like perfect. It's yet again an example of Dulcich farm genius. Okay. Trans cooler going on. Installed. The final camouflaged AccuSump dropping in right there. Cool. All I need is hardware. We're good to go. We ended up getting a super special, really short clutch fan, and it still didn't fit up against the radiator, and so I'm taking it off because we're gonna have to go to electric fans. I really wanted a mechanical fan. They're so much better for cooling. For my next trick, I'm gonna be fiddling with this doohickey right here. This is to plumb that AccuSump oil accumulator. It's gonna sandwich in between the oil pump on the engine block, and I'm gonna be able to put a filter here, and then this is the hose that runs to the accumulator and senses the pressure and also feeds pressure back in. So I'm gonna make a big mess removing the filter and installing this. Okay, now I have to tighten it. There we go. That's gonna point up like that. Gonna have a lot of hoses running around in this car.
I've got all the connections figured out on the carburetor as far as the kickdown linkage and the throttle cable. Now, the next step was really installing the pedal in here. I've got that located where it's the nicest comfortable position. And what I've got to do is figure out the cable lengths and cut it to fit the car better and the clocking so I have enough travel to fully go wide open and shut. And this is gonna be done. Ah, the cable totally unraveled when I cut it.
What? I think the instructions clearly describe how to prevent that.
Really?
Yeah.
I must have skipped that paragraph.
I've gone as far as I can go plumbing stuff in the front of the engine until a bunch of fittings and things show up in the UPS tomorrow. So I'm moving on to mounting my ignition box. I want all of the electronics in this car to be incredibly easy to service. So I'm gonna make a plate that goes right where the glove box door used to be. I'm gonna install the MSD and also this leash electronics box, which is gonna make headlights and turn signals and brake lights and everything work. Probably not on this episode, but eventually it'll be there. So these will go side by side right where the glove box used to be.
I have to say, I honestly didn't believe this was going to be possible, but through some amazing skill and ability, I am fixing this. It's literally falling back into place. Look, that is mint. Take a look, Freiberger, I fixed it.
Oh, I can see from here, it's fantastic.
Okay. Let's see if the carburetor goes to wide open throttle.
So you're pulling the arm all the way forward and then locking it, right?
Right.
Cool.
Okay, that's the kick down. Done.
You know how I know it's done?
Cross it off.
It's off the list.
Boom.
What are you gonna do next, though?
I'm doing everything that makes a human being control a machine that's going to be on the road.
Great, then he's gonna install the seats. I've been trying to avoid that.
I will put the seats in, and the shifter.
Oh, when you think ergonomics, you think Dulcich.
That's right.
Yeah.
I want to make man and machine just mesh together like this on the road, at Dirtfish, on the rally course,
In the General Mayhem.
in the ring for the final showdown.
It's the final countdown.
Oh, nice melody. What I really wanted to do was install the shifter next, but Freiberger insisted that I locate the seat so the shifter falls at the right place at his hand. We also wanted to make sure that the steering wheel was at the right position and the seat height worked out right and everything else. Now, the floor's not quite level on the seat bracket, so I've got to figure that out. I've got a bubble level, so I can pick this side up until it's level, and that'll tell me how much I need to cut off the other side. And that'll make the seat sit flat, and I can move on to the shifter, which is what I intended to do in the first place.
I took a piece of steel, made this bracket, and now I am going to tech screw it right there. Normally I hate tech screws, but we're going with it. Fancy. Perfection. That is engineered.
It turned out leveling the seat to the floor of the car wasn't that hard at all. All I had to do was take this step bracket, which raises the side of the seat, and replace it with this flat piece of metal that I drilled out to the same bolt pattern. So that's gonna bolt right into the car. It's gonna be really close to dead nuts, and I can adjust it a little bit with a few washers to make it absolutely perfect.
Yeehaw, parts showed up, I can get back to being productive. What I'm gonna do is plumb all of the fluids from the engine compartment side through this panel right here, the core support, up to this front side so I can get oil to the AccuSump and power steering fluid to the cooler. I'm gonna get through this right here by using a bulkhead connector, and it's so much better than just drilling a hole and running a hose through a piece of sheet metal. You sandwich them together like so. And this piece of sheet metal, the core support, will go right in between the two here, giving you a male AN on both sides to connect a hose end to. I'm gonna use -10 to get oil to that AccuSump and 2 -6s for the power steering cooler. There we go. Okay, that's good. Man, Dulcich slaved on getting the seat in here. Man.
Oh, so what do you think, Freiberger?
That's perfect.
I know.
The center line of the steering wheel is like flawless. The old parking brake lever is like the perfect dead pedal.
Elbow to door sill?
Wait, flawless.
Oh, wow.
Steering wheel grab, perfect. Yeah, this is great.
Okay.
One of the jobs I have to do is rewire this entire car front to back. And I'm not gonna go into the full play-by-play of that whole thing, but I thought I would show you some of the cool products that I got just because they make life easier. This is another doohickey from that company called Leash Electronics that I used on the F-Rod. This is a 4-relay panel. And so I'm gonna use it to power up all the fans on all of these coolers that I've got going on up here. And so what makes this cool is that it's got just one wire that feeds in. And then to trigger these relays, all I need is a very small wire on the input side from the switch panel, and then it'll feed out with everything from 16 to 14 gauge, depending on what I'm actually powering and how many amps it has. Also, these are all fused, which makes them really cool. So that's my doohickey up front that is gonna make life easier.
The next thing I'm going to do is install the B&M Pro ratchet shifter. Now, you may not know what a ratchet shifter is, but basically the action of this thing is it clicks forward and back. And every time you click it forward, it moves up a gear. You can go all the way to park, or you can pull it back, all the way to first gear. So I really like the action on that. It makes it almost foolproof and very hard to miss a gear. All I have to do is figure out exactly where I want to put this thing, and I think it should go right about here. It may have looked like that didn't do much, but it did enough.
Ready? That's tight. So right now we're in park. That's reverse, neutral, drive, second, first. So I'm in first gear, second, third, neutral. Now I have to hit the reverse lockout, reverse, park. That's it. The other cool thing about it is when you're all the way back in first like this, you can go second, first, second, first, second, third, second, first. So all you have to do is hit it and you go. Easy as that.
I thought it was all done assembling the front suspension, but we ran into a couple of problems. Like, number one, we're missing a bushing sleeve for the back rod end, and it turns out that is completely unavailable from the manufacturer. We found out that Hotchkiss has an improved upper control arm with improvements that are actually super worthwhile. The problem with this is you have to take the control arm off the car to adjust the rod end length to set the wheel alignment. So that's hit and miss, and it's actually very, very awkward to work with. And what they did, which is pretty ingenious, added a sleeve into the tube. So the rod end actually goes into this sleeve. By slacking off the lock nut, you can adjust it with the whole apparatus still in the car. So it's the way it should be. The next thing I'm going to work on is going to be a huge step forward on the car. Now, you might remember when this thing was Hellcat powered, it actually had a late model Charger gas tank just stuffed in the trunk. It was pretty messy. Now, I've got all new stock stuff, and this stuff's going to go in. It's going to fit the car like it was made for it, because in fact it was. What I've got is a OEM replacement style gas tank, a new sending unit, a new fill pipe, the whole works. I've got to make new lines that go all the way from the tank to the front of the car to go to the mechanical fuel pump, and then we're going to have a really simple, straightforward, and effective fuel system.
Wow, Steve, this is like above and beyond. Yeah, I'm impressed.
I'm totally happy, dude.
Yeah, me too. It's really good. Here's a tip. I'm trying to make these panels quick release so you can take them out of the car without all the wiring attached. And so I'm doing that with trailer plugs. I left my weather packs at home, so these will be good enough. Boom.
The time has come to put in the filler neck. Now, this looks pretty nice. It almost looks like it's chrome. I've already put the little rubber seal on this side. It's got a flat end and a pointy end. The pointy end goes to the quarter panel. This goes there, and that goes there.
Finally, I got the fitting to make this work. This is the last hose for that AccuSump deal. Here's a tech tip for you. The AccuSump adapter behind the oil filter put the oil filter too far forward, so I'm not gonna be able to get it off with the radiator in the car. But did you know that you can get short versions of oil filters? That's true for a lot of different applications. In this case, it would be like for a Ford or a Mopar, the FRAM number would be PH8A for the regular long filter, and it would be PH43 for the short filter, so you can cross-reference that. This is actually a Wix 51068, so I'm gonna change the filter now.
The next thing I'm going to do for safety is install seat belts. These are actually just a set of lap belts, but I'm going to take you through a few nuances that are going to be very important to you if you're doing your own seat belt installation. Number one, you want the clasp on this side, the tunnel side, so that it falls to your right hand as you sit in the car. Another little thing has to do with the fasteners that you actually use to put this in. OEM fasteners have a step, so you torque the bolt down, but it has this whole upper part for it to pivot on. That way it's not ramrodded solid to the floor. Now, the aftermarket fastener, in contrast, is threaded all the way. So, as you might imagine, you put that in there, you ramrod it to the floor till the bolt's tight, and you have pinned the seatbelt solid against the floor. And that's not good. You want to be able to have some clearance there. What do you do about that? Well, what I'm going to do about that is use a little bit of Loctite. I'm going to run it down. I'm going to leave a couple of threads up, so this will have room enough to pivot and not get locked down, and Loctite will prevent the bolt from coming out. I consider that safe. So if you have that level of trust in my recommendation, you can consider it safe too.
The shifter is in. The line lock button is wired. I've got loose wires here for a future nitro system. The one thing we're missing is the sticker to mark the Prindle, park, reverse, neutral, drive low, etc. So I'm just gonna write it on there. Boom.
We had to switch from the mechanical fan to these dual electric fans for clearance issues, but I painted it all black and it's ready to go in.
Whew, I'm tired. Steve has been doing a lot of the mechanical work on this thing, so he's beat also, but I have been wiring non-stop for days at this point. What I'm gonna do here is show you how I'm feeding main power to the entire vehicle. I've got one 6-gauge wire that goes inside and feeds the panel that sends all the power everywhere, with the exception of this one fuse block I've got up here that's running the fans and stuff, and that's being fed from this 8 right here. I'm gonna put both of them through a circuit breaker. So you know what a fuse does. If a wire goes to ground, the fuse blows so that the whole wire doesn't catch on fire. Well, circuit breaker is just like what you can use on your house to blow a fuse. It's just resettable. So it blows, that little thing pops out, you push it back in, boom, you're done. This is gonna protect the entire car. I'm gonna mount it right there and start plumbing my main power into it. This is a huge moment. You know how much work we've put into this car?
All the work.
Man, between us and Birdsong,
Yeah.
basically it was like starting from half of a bare shell.
Well, to me, the 440, and it's the actual same motorhome 440,
Right.
at least in the block, that it was on day one. That brings the thing full circle back to its original character, and that's important to me.
Well, we gotta find out if you can or cannot go home again, yeah?
How do we do that, Freiberger?
Burnouts and stuff.
Let's go.
Or maybe I'll take it easy for a little while.
Yeah, right.
How do you like the exhaust stuff?
I like it.
It's pretty good.
I see why you like this car.
It's great.
I know.
All right, are you ready for brake check?
Yeah.
You feel comfortable with it?
Yeah?
And
stops on a dime and gives you 9 cents change.
And the carburetor doesn't die.
That's good.
Wow.
Yeah, that wasn't bad at all.
I guess we need to find out if it'll take just the snap wide open burnout. See if it'll bog or not.
Yeah, I don't think it'll log.
I think it might.
It's just gonna shift immediately into second gear or hit the rev limiter.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hey, Dulcich!
What? The Mayhem lives again! Let's go, buddy! Whoa!
Tires spin at like 50 miles an hour!
I know! This car's awesome, dude! Boom! Boom!
So there's first, second, third.
Well, that's working.
Yeah, that's not bad as far as shift RPM.
Yeah.
Will it downshift though? It does.
That sure did.
Man, we put this car together expertly. Oh, I know. This car's gonna be fun. When you slow down, it heats up. Those fans do not move enough air.
No.
Period. That's not gonna work.
They're not good enough.
As far as negatives so far, I really want rearview mirrors. I want to adjust the doors. The seats are terrible. We got to get rid of the spool. But aside from the seats, everything that we did is flawless. Ah, 68 Charger is the best car.
You really love this thing, don't you?
Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna do the Freiburger fly-in on the dirt because I'm just not 100% comfortable with the car yet. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want you to crash and kill us.
I mean, you can't get in a car for your very first day and just go wide open at like 115 miles an hour.
Depends on the car.
Blasting around in the general mayhem and the back roads around Steve's house just proved to us this is actually one of our greatest cars ever. We love it back with 440 power. But none of that matters because I gotta fix a couple things and then come back with the really, really big news that is exactly what you've been waiting for. Yes, we are going back to Dirtfish Rally School for an episode of Roadkill and going head-to-head with Mike Finnegan in his Charger called the Death Metal. It is gonna be great. Don't miss it.
Friendship. Let me tell you something about friendship. Now, a lot of you guys think friendship is getting on your phone and sending a little text. No, 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 that's not friendship. Friendship is when you just make a beautiful fuel system for your buddy's 68 Charger and you give up a super rare factory fuel line to frame rail clip that'll button that thing down like it was made for it. Because it was. That is true friendship.
Thanks, Steve.